Han Solo,
Yeah.
not someone that's trying to settle in or break in a new pair of shoes.
He might. I mean, we could get a Han who's a bit of bravado and gradually kind of warming and gradually kind of coming into that character. I think that would be acceptable, but he'd have to still have the swagger, even if he's not backing it up just yet.
Yeah,
I think any other way of doing it would just be wrong. Just
something that
wash.
is missing from Connor's list here is
Yeah.
something I would like to see, which is the reversal of the Han Solo archetype, which is we've seen him as the swaggering, cool pilot in amongst all of these upstart rebels.
Yeah.
What was it like? His world must have been upside down when he was mixing with the Hutts and the bounty hunters, because he's this virtuous man.
Yeah.
Moving in some pretty dark, seedy circles. So
yeah, it's true.
That would be an interesting character study for me, to know that this guy's really a hero.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this a little while ago. I don't remember if it was on last week's show or if it was something I'd written on the site, but I like the idea that Han, what was it? He was shipping something for Jabba the Hutt, right?
Spice, I think.
Was it spice?
I think that's usually in the Star Wars universe, although again, it's,
Well, it wasn't. It was referred to as a shipment in A New Hope, right? They weren't explicit about
it. Doesn't say what it doesn't say what it is. No.
What if that was people?
Oh, blimey! Okay.
What if Jabba is involved in the illegal movement of people?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
And if it's slaves for the Empire to build their war machine.
Oh, blimey! That would be.
So you see what I mean? Where you've got Han working for, he's obviously valuable to Jabba and the crime lords because he's fast and he's a skilled, bold pilot.
Yeah.
But he never really, I don't see him fitting into that world very much. So I'd be very interested in seeing a Han Solo who could be told by Jabba, you get this shipment from A to B and I'll pay you all this money. Yeah. And when Han's shipping it, he realises,
absolutely.
This is human trafficking.
I was going to say before, I like this, and even before, I was going to say what would be really cool is if he deliberately chucked out the shipment of whatever it was.
Yeah.
Whatever the cargo is, he chucked it out on purpose because it's not. He realises it's not him.
It's a nice way to pay into. Or to play into existing canon as well. When they take the Millennium Falcon onto the Death Star in A New Hope, they say several of the escape pods have been jettisoned.
Yeah.
So what if Han realises the shipment is people, and he piles them all into the escape pods, frees them, and then he realises now he's on the run for the rest of his life. And we've just had a little nod in A New Hope to the fact that the Falcon's got fewer escape pods than it should have because Han's freed a bunch of people that he was human trafficking for the Hutts.
Oh, that's great.
See, that works because it plays into the fact I want to see Han at odds with his environment in this film. Because we going in, we know he survives, which is a weakness for the storytelling, and we know he's a virtuous man, which is also a weakness for the storytelling, unless you lean on those elements.
Yes.
So we know he's going to get out of it, but we want to see him get out of it by the skin of his teeth. That's why Indiana Jones works.
Yes.
So I want to see him. I want to see this virtuous man who has deliberately lowered himself into this underworld, and then when he comes up against it, he can't handle it. That would be an interesting angle.
Yeah, especially when it's what's the word? It's outside of his comfort zone even more than he already is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's a bit. I mean, I'm not discounting anything that Connor's put in here because I want to see the Kessel Run. I'd like to see the Kessel Run. But again, it's the minutiae that might work better in a book.
Yes.
And I think Claudia Gray should write all of them, all of the books.
Fine. There's a few authors I'd happily read from, and she's definitely one of them.
But when you think of the stakes that you can introduce into a story where you give Han those sorts of challenges compared to watching him do the Kessel Run, I would rather see him struggle with my idea I've just laid out than see him run a race around some black holes.
Mm-hmm.
And
that'd be cool.
The rebel thing, just to jump, because we said, obviously, question 4, or point number 4, just plays into what I was just saying, doesn't it, about
Yeah.
working for Jabba and stuff. But number 5, I'd rather we didn't brush up. I think in the notes later on, I think I've actually put in there, can a Han Solo movie work without the Empire and without the Skywalker story? Mm-hmm. And I think it will work better if we try and keep them as far away from it as possible.
I think Han Solo is a strong enough character to separate it out without any issue. Right, so interestingly enough, actually, we've just kind of gone off on a side point around these points. Number 2 syncs up quite nicely with your idea. If Chewbacca's one of the cargo.
Yeah, true.
Because we know in Legends he frees him from an Imperial training. No, Imperial slavery, isn't he?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
So he could still be in that position, just not having got there yet, as it were. He's Imperial slave in the sense that he's already been bought and paid for.
Yeah.
But
the only thing that worries me is the timeline. If this is 10 years before A New Hope, then fine. That means Han and Chewie have had 10 years together when they meet Luke and Obi-Wan. If it's only a few years, then I don't know if they've had long enough to really become that bonded pair that we see.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. The one I definitely don't want to see, right?
Yeah, go on.
Number 3. I want that to be something we never see evidence of.
Yeah.
Number 3, so for those who've lost track, is the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs, if you were the 12 parsecs. I never want to see it. I want it to stay a story that he tells people that's never necessarily proven to be true or false.
Yeah. It's also one of those things now, it's almost got a myth of its own now, this whole thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Where people say, well, parsecs are measure a unit of distance and not...